wonderful cause. Rob and I, if you got to see Rob, he's awesome, right? Rob Johnson, amazing. He's one of my besties, my right-hand person in so many comedy shows. We are big animal lovers and obviously loving of people too, but somehow every chance we can get to help an animal, that's what we're doing. So yeah, I have a thing for pussy. Anybody else like pussy? I have 3 pussy cats in my house, and I live with one of my best friends, and she's a girl, so I guess there's 4 pussies, except she's jealous most of the time because I spend most of my time communicating with my cats. They love me unconditionally, right? She says that a lot of guys are not going to want to be with me because I like pussy so much. I'm like, no, not at all. Every guy I've been with wants more pussy in the bed anyway, so what does it matter if I have 3 other pussy cats in, right? I don't understand. See, these are my people. I'm going to tell my best friend she's wrong on this, and every boyfriend I have ever had loved cats, including my best friend here, who I haven't slept with, but loves cats. He and his girlfriend, fiance, they love cats. Give it a round of applause for pussy, everybody. Thank you. So anybody have one of those pet Libro machines? They're like a water fountain for pets. This is going to be a little TED Talk. Somebody said, oh yeah, right? It's like $100 and you can charge it up. You don't have to use the cord. I want to instruct everybody on this for their dogs and cats because dogs and cats could chew cords and then you don't want to get them electrocuted, right? Maybe some people we want to get electrocuted in this country, but not these animals, right? So I bought this thing, it was like $100, and I charged it up, and I put it in my living room, and my best friend came upstairs from her room, and she's like, what is this? And I said, it's for the cats. And she goes, you waste so much fucking money on these cats. I'm like, no, I don't, right? We love animals. I'm like, I want them to hydrate, right? So, but the thing is my cats, not that they're not bright. They're pretty boys. They're very cute, and I've always been attracted to the pretty boys. Women in the audience, you agree, right? Pretty boys, right? Lizzie will say it. She's got a pretty boy, Rob, right here, right? So, but my cats, I've heard that animals, especially cats, have like the IQ of a 2-year-old. I think my cats are working on that. They're still at 1.5 years or something. So, but I plugged this thing in, charged it up, put it out, and my cats are not drinking. And so my best friend's like, see, once again, you wasted another fucking $100. I said, no, I didn't. They're like dipping their paws in and out. I'm like, they're learning to be sanitary. They're cleaning their paws before they touch a girl. That's what men should do. Please clean your hands before you touch any private area on us. Thank you very much. We don't want an infection, okay? So anyway, they're dipping their paws in and out, and she goes, okay, so now what? I said, you know what? I'm going to be a responsible fur mom, and I'm going to show them how it's done. She goes, what are you going to do? So I leaned over, and I'm like this. She goes, what the fuck are you doing? I said, I'm teaching them how to swallow. I'm such a good mom, right? So yeah, actually, speaking of swallowing, for all the women in the room, the first time you ever gave a blowjob, did you swallow? No? I'm alone on a lot of issues here. So the first time I ever did this, I was a teenager, totally in love with my boyfriend. And he was like, Joanne, when you do this, you have to swallow. And I said, why? He said, it's good for your skin. So I believed him. So for years, I was swallowing, thinking this is what women do. I had no clue. I'm sitting around with my friends having margaritas one night talking about swallowing. They're looking at me like all of you are looking at me. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, isn't this what we do? They're like, no. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, he said it was good for my skin. And I said, how does my skin look? How does my skin look? See, it's the swallowing. It's not the Botox. So I say to all of you, you want good skin, go home and swallow. Practice, do something. Don't let me feel all alone up here, okay? So, yeah, so I come from a very interesting family. I was adopted. They took me from one dysfunctional Italian family right into the next. Actually, my adopted parents had so much in common, they both wanted to sleep with men. I was okay with this. I always wanted a twin brother. You have to watch what you wish for in life because I got exactly what I wanted. I just, I was like, I don't know. He's like close to my age. This is weird. He used to call me his little sister. The entire time he was with my dad, I said, Dad, this is kind of weird. No, I mean, you want to be with men, that's on you, but I want to be with men too, but I don't want this guy calling me his sister. It's just strange. He's like, Joanne, you got to lighten up. I said, I don't think I need to lighten up. My father was trying to get me cuddling on the couch. I said, I don't need to do anything, okay? I don't need to do anything. I am a grown adult. But anyway, you can't come from an Italian family like me. I actually am known as Ma Barbie. Thank you very much. Do I look like Barbie? Kind of, right? Like in a mobbish way. Well, I actually come kind of like a mob family. Don't be afraid, especially everybody else who's live streaming. My relatives, most of those people are locked up or dead. So there we go on that. But I actually grew up in Brooklyn, born in Brooklyn and raised in Queens for a while. Thank you very much, Brooklyn in the house. And I would go with my grandfather to all these shops, back and forth to Brooklyn all the time. And I was like a little girl at like 7. There would be like old men outside. You know, if you know Brooklyn, like smoking cigars, and they'd be like, oh, who's this cute little girl? And I'd be like in a cute little dress, like, hi. And then like, go inside and you get a toy. And I'm like, it wasn't like a toy store, right? There was just all these men in there. And out would come like the Barbie dream house and like all of these toys. And so I had an abundance of toys. In fact, they would give me trucks too. And I'm like, what am I gonna do with these trucks? So I would make friends with a lot of cute boys like yourself, and I would give them trucks, right? And as I got older, they're like, do you wanna fuck? I'm like, no, I'm just gonna give you a truck. I don't know what, I just want to be like a good Catholic girl. But I did give toys to like my friends on the block. A lot of my friends didn't have a lot of money, and I just happened to have a lot of toys, right? So I wanted to share. So I would bring friends like another Barbie dream house, whatever you want, I would give it to them. And then one day I had like an Irish Catholic friend, and her mother was really mad. And she's like, but where do you get these toys? And I said, my grandfather. She goes, oh, he owns a toy store? I said, no, I asked my grandfather about it, and he said they fell off a truck. And after that, I never saw this little girl again. She couldn't be friends with anybody Italian. So most of my friends were Italian until I got older. I'm like, I don't understand what's the big deal? My grandfather was a good catcher. All these years, I thought he was like pro baseball and gave up everything for his family. I always wanted a man just like him, right? I didn't know he was like a gangster. So you have to, you know, and like when you date these type of people in your life that are like gangsters, or you come from this family of gangsters, you sort of repeat it, right? They say you date your parents and your grandparents. So I found a guy that I was totally in love with, the first guy I gave a blowjob to. And I thought that he was like really respectable, because later on, he was like coming into all this money. And I thought, was it the construction company? And then it's like, Joanne, just how many diamonds do you want? I'm like, I don't know, just bling me out. I was blinged out. And it turned out that he was a coke dealer. Any coke dealers? Any people doing coke in a room? Anybody? It's okay. I was not the girl that ever did coke. I didn't want to do coke. I'm like, I don't think it looks good. In fact, most of the people I knew that were on coke, they were doing this with their mouth. I'm like, this is not very good. I have enough trouble keeping my lipstick on, so I'm just not going to do that. I didn't do it. But I love my guy, right? As women, like Lizzie, you love Rob. Like, you'll do anything for him, right? Just about everything. Women, anybody who loves you do anything, right? That's how we're raised. We want to do anything. So my boyfriend would get calls about the drug deal, and I would go with him because why? Not because I was doing coke, because I'm codependent, right? So I thought I was helping out. I would go with him on these drug deals, and I'd be crying the whole time. And he'd be like, Joanne, listen, what are you crying about? I'm like, I don't want you to do this. Like, you're hurting people and yourself. He's like, Joanne, please stop crying. You're getting tears all over the coke. You're turning it into crack. Do you want diamonds or cubic zirconia? I'm like, I want diamonds. So I sold out. Just to get the friggin' diamonds. But, you know, I mean, that's what we have to do whatever we're going to do, right, to get what we want in life. So I attract a lot of love bombers. Anybody else? Love bombers? Yeah? Women in the back, love bombers? Somebody's shaking their head, you get it, right? Awful. I don't know what it is. You know what, I think I'm too nice, right? My best friend Rob is here, and his fiance says Rob and I are too nice. So we probably get a lot of this stuff. Luckily we have Lizzie in our lives. She's like, nope, and that's it, and they're out. So we're getting stronger every day, thanks to you, Lizzie. We'll give you a round of applause. Give her a round of applause. Right? Great. But it doesn't matter where these guys are from, right? So, but I am attracted to the pretty boys, right? Just like my cats are pretty boys. And so when I'm in New York, sometimes I'm on Bumble and I swipe, right, on a pretty boy. So I swiped on this guy on a recent trip. Really good looking. I want to say like 46, completely buffed out, but not steroidish, but like good looking, blonde, like hair and like blue eyes. And I'm like, all right, this is good. So he's like, wanting to FaceTime me, but you know, women, men, like if you're gonna go out on a date, you wanna see this person. It's probably better to FaceTime before you waste your time on a date, right? And guys will say before you're wasting time on money on a meal with the woman you don't even wanna sleep with. So anyway, he's FaceTiming me, but he's so good looking. Like, I almost got into car wrecks because of this guy. So good. I just couldn't, like, he's just flexing and I'm like drooling. And then he's like slamming on the table, on the kitchen counter table. He's like, I need you here. He's like, you're it. So this is where the love on. You're it. He goes, I can't live without you. I need you here. I need you here. And I'm like, you can't live without me. Where have you been for the past 46 years? How did you survive then, right, without me? He's like, I need to suck your tits. I'm like, what is this about? I'm like, you know what? He goes, why don't you play mommy? I'm like, we're in the same age group. I'm like, this is just weird. Just enough is enough. Why don't you go find your mother? Maybe she didn't breastfeed you enough. I said, where is your mother? He goes, 2 blocks away. I said, go over there and learn it again. I'm not flying to New York for this shit, right? But then I did a show over at the Comedy Store. Rob and I have done a lot of shows all over the place, including the Comedy Store. It was a sold-out room. And one of the girls on the show said all the guys from her office were there, and they were in the front row. And she goes, Joanne, there's a guy in the front row who's absolutely in love with you. He wants to meet you. I said, okay, I'll meet him. So I meet him after the show. And I'm like, he's really good looking, so check, right? Pretty boy, check. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, how old is this guy? She goes, he likes older. I'm like, all right, I'm Generation X, but he's a millennial. You know what, men, whoo, right? You like to date younger. Why can't we, right? Women, we can date younger, right? Yes, why not? I'm like, I can do this. But I go out with him, and I'm like, something's a little off. You're very cute, by the way. Something is a little off. Like, I wish it was you. Something's off, and I'm like, I don't know, the kiss wasn't right, but I'm like, I'm going to give him a chance. So for 3 months, he followed me around like a puppy dog, like tripping on himself, like trying to act cool. He picks me up in a car one day, and he's got like Frank Sinatra music playing. He's like, do you like this? I'm like, yeah, I guess. It makes me think of my parents. I'm like, I don't know. This is not putting me in any kind of mood. I'm like, I don't know. Then he's like jamming to Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. He goes, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, great band, but I don't listen to this. So anyway, I decided to deep dive into this guy, not into giving him a blowjob. And I was like, I found out he is not a millennial. He was barely pushing 23. Right? And he's looking at me, and I'm like, and all he would ever say, he'd be like, baby, baby, baby. I said, no, I could be your mommy, mommy, mommy. Right? And again, he's like, please let me suck your tits. I said, what is this? I said, no, you cannot suck my tits. I said, do me a favor, go back to your mother too. I said, where is your mother? He goes, in my house. I'm like, oh my God, I've attracted some weird thing of my family again. I said, I'm not interested in this. He goes, I want to hang out with you and my mom on the couch. I said, nope, this is a threesome I'm not doing. Thank you very much. He goes, but I have to suck your tits. I said, no, you cannot. He goes, please. I said, you suck my tits hard enough, you're going to get saline all over your face. You guys have been awesome. Please continue to donate. I'm just one last thing. I'm with Urban Sanctuary Rescue, Addie Daddio. If you want to follow her, we help dogs and cats. In fact, I was helping 2 foster cats today find a new home, and this is what Rob and I do a lot with our free time, helping dogs and cats. Thank you so much, Bridget, and everybody else.
Oh, Joanne, thank you. Round of applause for Joanne, please. That was so awesome.